You can join us live for our next BookFunnel webinar. Check out the link in the description for more details. We hope to see you there.
All right. So now that we've gotten all that out of the way, we'll go ahead and dive in here to some questions. I do see we've got a few questions here in the chat, so I will start with those. And then I'll also kind of, like I said, mix in some of the questions that we had submitted in advance. So starting here. So we have, it looks like Jay, I am new to BookFunnel. I would appreciate an overview of features. I mostly write nonfiction books. I am interested in promotion features. Sure. So what I would say, if you're looking for like an overview of our features that's a little more detailed, in this orientation session here, that does start out, pardon me, with an overview of the BookFunnel dashboard, and I touch on each of the major features of BookFunnel. I wouldn't have enough time to go through all of that today and get to all of our questions that we have for this session. So I would point you in that direction. If you're looking specifically for promotion features, so you say you write nonfiction, so group promos and author swaps would be those two that you would want to look at. For group promotions, we'll go ahead and go over to the promos tab. Let me see. Okay. So what we're looking at right now, got to move the Zoom stuff out of the way. There we go. What we're looking at right now are all of the promos, group promos that are available on the author dashboard. For those of you who don't know, group promos are a group cross-promotional opportunity where you can join with other BookFunnel authors to cross-promote your books with them. So a group of authors, usually in the same genre, will join together for an organized promo. Usually there's one author who will organize it, right? On the dashboard, it's literally one author who organizes it. And then other authors can join into that promo. They usually last for a month. And so everybody throws their books into that promo, typically a free book in the case of a newsletter promo, but you can do it for paid books as well. And those are what we call sales promos. But a newsletter promo is probably what most people are familiar with or the idea of. So you put in a free book or a reader magnet, and then each author participating will share that promo with their readers. All of the books are on a nice bundle page, and that's what readers see. So the readers land on that bundle page and they can browse all the books there. And they are already on an author's mailing list in order to find that page, right? Because the other authors in the promo have shared it with their newsletter audience. And so provided that your audience or your target audience and their target audience overlap, there are going to be some of their readers who are going to inevitably be interested in your work. Now, if we look here on the dashboard, we can see like romance, we've got like over 1,000 promos. Romance just makes up the large majority of promos out there because there's a majority of BookFunnel users write in romance. I myself am a science fiction and fantasy author, but even some of these genres that are a little bit smaller, see in nonfiction, we've got about 23 opportunities here for promos. Some of these may be a little bit more narrow in terms of their scope. So there might be a niche, like so, for example, transformational nonfiction. They might be talking more. It could sometimes be more like self-help, or it might be something related to a specific hobby. So for nonfiction, there's still opportunities there. I would recommend in nonfiction trying to work with a smaller group of authors that are closer to your niche. So if you wrote a book on like, let's say finances, right, just as an example, I don't know that's Jay. I don't know if that's the case for you. I don't know what subgenre of nonfiction you write. But let's say you have a finance book and you put it in a nonfiction promo that has a book about gardening, and it also has a self-help book, and maybe has like nonfiction also includes things like crossword puzzles, right? Those things don't really, right, make sense with each other. Maybe you find one or two or three authors who are like very close to you in niche, and it's just that small group that's still enough to do a group promo with. You don't necessarily have to have a huge group of authors to make an impact. Really, it's just have authors that are closely related in niche with audiences that are engaged, and they can still be beneficial. If you have trouble finding a group, here on the dashboard, two things. you can post a promo yourself. So you can come up here to the dashboard and post a new promo. And when you post a promo, you decide what genre it's for. You get to name the whole thing, right? There's a little bit of work involved up front, but once you figure it out, it's not so bad. You kind of get used to it. And then you can describe what you're looking for. And then as authors submit their books to the promo, you can say, oh, you know what, this one isn't a good fit. Thanks for your submission, but we're gonna, I need books in this specific genre. Or maybe you find a few authors who are looking as well. Maybe they didn't take that step to post a promo and you did, and that's why they found you, right? Just because you don't see it on the dashboard doesn't mean there aren't authors in that niche looking for it. And if you still struggle with that, author swaps. Author swaps are another feature we have, but instead of working with a group, you're working one-to-one with another author. So they share your book and you share theirs with your audiences. It's just one-to-one instead of having to organize a group promo. One other thing that you can do if you are looking to post a promo, we do have, and it should be somewhere, let me see in the featured posts. If you look at this post here, we do have a BookFunnel promos group. If you're in the Authors Only Facebook group, there's a link to that group as well. This promos group is where you can share promos that you are hosting with other authors. And so you can find those there. Also, feel free to reach out to BookFunnel support in this regard, because we can also get some of those posted in the main group. It'd be something that a BookFunnel admin would do if we're looking for folks in those genres, so we can get some more eyeballs on it. So if you are in a smaller genre, we're there to support you and help you find some other authors. Absolutely. But that would be my suggestion. If you're having trouble finding other authors in a smaller genre, group promos, post one yourself, look at author swaps. So that's going to be the main way that you're going to use promotional features. Otherwise, I do just a quick rundown. Most of these other features give you ways to share your books directly with readers. So you can make a landing page and you can use that, well, you can use it in group promos, but you can also link to your landing pages from your website, from your book's back matter, from social media, anywhere. Certified mail lets you send ARC review copies directly to readers by email. So does Gift a Book, but it's one reader at a time. Bulk delivery lets you add books to readers' BookFunnel libraries directly with no email involved. This is kind of intended for delivering Kickstarter and Patreon rewards, that sort of thing. And then direct sales. This is if you're going to be selling books through your own direct store, your own website, and then BookFunnel will fulfill those sales for you. Print codes allow you to create batches of printable download codes. You can then put those on address labels, put it on a postcard. For when you're at in-person events, you need to give out copies of your ebook or audiobook in a tangible way, or even sell them using BookFunnel print codes, doing sales in person in that way as well. So hopefully that answered your question, Jay. Feel free, by the way, guys, if I answer your question and maybe I missed the mark, or maybe there's a little more detail, or there's something I missed, feel free to follow up in the Zoom chat, and I'll eventually get down to it, and then I can return to your question. Okay, so moving on here, Chelsea asks, can you do a quick run through of what author swaps look like? What does a swap mean? I kind of did that here a little bit, but yes, I can go into a little bit more detail here. So author swaps are one-to-one cross promotion, like I said. So a group promo might be a group of authors. It could be two authors, but oftentimes it's more. And so if you're looking for a swap, a couple things. First of all, this is just the swaps board. It's just showing you, right now we're looking at all swaps on the swaps board, right? So this list right here isn't necessarily going to be super helpful. We're going to want to probably work it down by genre. So for example, I myself write in science fiction, right? So if I'm looking for sci-fi and fantasy, science fiction, that will now narrow things down for me. Right, so I can see these are the dates here that I would be sharing the other author's book, the author's name. This is their average number of shares. So when this author does a swap, this is the average number of clicks that they generate on that swap link. And then this is the spot. This is the type of, I guess, the type of placement your book will have in their newsletter. So, exclusive, feature, and mention are the three types. An exclusive is where they're going to send an email to their mailing list that is just about your book, essentially. A feature is where your book will be featured above the other content of their newsletter or above other books they're sharing. And then a mention is where your book will be in there, but it's just going to be maybe a footnote. It's going to be in there with some other books. It might not get a whole lot of clicks necessarily, but you can kind of trade features in that way. So, or trade mentions in that way. All right. So if you were requesting a swap with an author, we'll look at Sean Wilson here. This is actually an author that I personally have swapped with. So Sean, if you're watching, hi. We're in the same genre. And so I can see here, this is a swap specifically on the date of April 4th. So this is when the author is sending out their newsletter. I can see the author's swap history. I'm not going to pull that up here just to put that. I'm not trying to put Sean on the spot. He generates an average of 41 clicks, which is great. That's actually a pretty good number right there. And I can see here what he's looking for. So he's wanting to swap ebooks with wide authors as opposed to KU or a mix. And he's offering a feature. So your book will be featured above other books. There's one spot of two remaining available. And he's fine accepting sales landing pages or sign up pages. This would actually be, this terminology needs to be updated. These are now universal book links, is what these are. But sales swaps is also kind of what we call them, and in these genres is what he's looking for. And then there's some additional details here that he may have added. So we can tell he's not looking to swap with romance, which you might, if you are a romance author or you write maybe in sci-fi romance, you will want to pay attention to that. Or if you're not a romance author, I would recommend swapping with authors that are like meet the same criteria as your audience. And then I can see the pages and the books that he's offering to swap with. So if I wanted to request a swap, I would just click request, fill out the form here, including when I'm going to share his book, which book of his I'm going to share with my mailing list. I can leave additional comments and so forth, right? And then it's really at that point, it's just a matter of you'll receive a tracking link to their landing page, and you just have to share that on or before the share date of the swap so that the other author can see those clicks, see that you actually shared it. So, question, and this one looks like it's also about promos. So I figured there'd be plenty of questions about promos. There usually are, and that's great. So Elizabeth asks, I joined my first two promos on April 1st with my newsletter freebie for my new mailing list with the intention to follow your recommendation to at the mid-month mark, send my new subscribers from one link to the other promo and vice versa. But I sent them both to the same email landing page. Did I mess up my plan? LOL, will I need to send them both links? So if you sent them to the same BookFunnel landing page, a BookFunnel landing page can only add them to, if I'm assuming here that you have it integrated. You may not. So assuming that you have it integrated, they're going to get added to one list. If you don't have it integrated, it's kind of the same thing. They're in one CSV file. It's not going to be easy to sort them out from where they came from. And so, yeah, it's not a problem. You can still send them both links. I would wait until the middle of the month, and I would just share both of those promos with the group. It won't harm anything. Especially since you're showing them to, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I've seen that one already, but that one I haven't seen, or what have you. The other thing is that you have to keep in mind, you are also in that promo with other authors. There may be authors that are in both of those same promos that you are in. And those authors may also be sharing those promos. And so those readers may have seen those promos anyway in other cases. So one recommendation I will add on to this is that when you share a promo with your newsletter, use the book's cover as the image in your newsletter. So just using this one as an example. So if I was in a promo with this author, and I think I actually have been in promos with this author, C.S. Hawk, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I think my readers would really like that book cover. You're fine to download their book cover, put it in your mailing list, and put the link to the promo in there. I would also pair it with a button and make sure that button says something like view all books in this giveaway or something like that. Or click here to see uh, all freebies. So that it's clear that in order to get that book, they have to go to the promo and browse through all of the available books. Because readers are much more likely to click on this, a book cover, than they are to sometimes click on the banner image, which is what some authors will use. So if you are sending multiple promos in this respect, right, I would use a book cover image, and because it's also not going to be easily identifiable to that reader immediately, like, oh, I've seen that promo already, right? They'll click on it that way. You'll get credit for the clicks, sending that traffic there. If they've already gone to that promo before, it's not a problem. They're just going to, excuse me, they're just going to probably browse again and be like, oh, I already downloaded all these books. No big deal, right? They're not going to get offended by it, right? Or they're going to, instead, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, no, you know what? There's a few books here that I missed, right? So Jay, looks like there was a follow-up here. I have a book published on Amazon, Kindle, and paperback formats. What is the best way to list or transfer it to BookFunnel and promote? So if your book is on Amazon in the Kindle format, or excuse me, I guess the question is whether or not it's exclusive to Kindle, as in is it in Kindle Unlimited, KDP Select? If it is, then what you're not going to want to do on BookFunnel is make it available through a download page, because that would be violating the terms of KDP Select. So if you're making a landing page, you'll want to use a universal book link instead. And so what's going to be the best example here? I think this will probably be this one, I'm guessing. I'll open this one up here. So this is an example universal book link. Ignore all the buttons here. You don't have to use all of these, right? You choose which one of these icons show up. But this simply links uh, readers to where they can purchase the book. So in this case, it would send them to whatever link you desire. In this case, it could be a link to Amazon for the paperback version. You can add links specifically for the paperback or the ebook, right? So a universal book link would be the way to go in that respect. However, I would encourage you strongly, if you don't already have one, to have some kind of reader magnet that is not in KDP Select, so that you have something you can give away in order to grow your mailing list. I'm sure you've already done this, but if you haven't considered it, that's what I would recommend, is make sure that you have some kind of reader magnet. We do have on YouTube, if we go to can I open this playlist without playing everything in it? Yep. We do have a few, let me see here. We did one recently, the 5 reader magnets that every author needs. This is a good one, maybe a little bit more advanced, but we also have just a grow your audience with reader magnets. This is kind of a basic one. If you were looking to get started with that, those would be the 2 places I would point you to. Probably this one first. And then this is more like advanced reader magnets, right? This is kind of the reader magnets 101, and this is 201 right here, if you will, right? So that would be what I recommend you do. And if your book is, again, in paperback, obviously you can't, like, nobody can download. We don't have the Star Trek technology that lets you just make a book out of thin air. One of these days we will, but right, you'll have to link them to Amazon anyway. And yeah, if it's exclusive, you'll want to do it that way as well, so that you don't violate KDP's terms. Okay, few more questions here in the chat we'll get to. Keep them coming, guys. I'll go through a few more here, and then I'm going to go to some of our submitted ones that were submitted in advance. So Molly asks, if I want to offer a bonus chapter as an incentive to readers, do I set that up as a book on the dashboard? Yes. So when you add a new book, obviously, you'll put in all the book details. Part of what you can do here is you can actually choose you do have to put the book type. So I could say this is a sample. This could be a short story. This could be a teaser, whatever the case might be, right? Maybe this is an advanced copy. We have a few options there for you. You can also put other, it can be whatever you want it to be, right? So when we use the word book, we talk about on BookFunnel, we refer to them as book objects. That's you guys don't have to refer to them that way, but that's kind of the internal speak that we use, right? We're talking about an object that gets delivered through BookFunnel features, whether it's an individual chapter, a short story, a PDF worksheet that goes with your nonfiction, a downloadable and printable game, right? Teasing our upcoming webinar here in a little bit, right? All of that is doable through a BookFunnel landing page. If you can deliver it through an EPUB, PDF, or MP3 file, you can deliver it through BookFunnel, right? So that would be how you do that. Yep, just set it up as a book. The key there is that the files that you then upload. Let's go to one of our books here, right? So I have files uploaded here, but when I go to upload files, I just want to make sure that the files I'm uploading contain only that chapter. So you would compile an EPUB or make a PDF that includes just the content that you want them to get when they claim that book, right? Whatever the book is. So another question here from Jay, do I need to have a mailing list to participate in a promo? It's highly encouraged that you do. Well, I guess you know what? Let me because I think I misinterpreted that. You do not have to have readers on your list to start participating in promos. You can start from scratch. You should have the bare minimum of what you should have is have an account set up with a mailing list service like MailChimp or MailerLite or any of the other ones out there. They're all good for the most part. They almost all of them are free to start up to a certain number of subscribers. And so you need to have an account with one of those services, right? This is not something where you're going to want to keep that list of emails and email them through Gmail. Don't do that. Right? You want to have a service that you use to store and manage your list. That is what you need before you would participate in a promo. But you don't need to have any readers on that list in order to get started. And actually, I think this was what Elizabeth was getting to earlier. This is a common advice that I give, which is that if you're building your list from scratch with group promos, I might find here a couple promos. Maybe there's these two newsletter promos that are in my genre, and maybe my book is a good fit for both of those. And so I'm going to put my book into two promos, and I'm going to gather readers from both of those, and then because promos last about a month, I can gain new subscribers for the first couple of weeks. And then when it comes time to share, I just set my share date for the middle of the month. So I promise to the organizer, I'm going to share this promo in the middle of the month. And then I'm going to share those promos after I've already gained some subscribers. So you can do it that way. You can start from scratch because you can delay having to share the newsletter. Alternatively, if you have, let's say you maybe don't have a big newsletter, but you do have a large social media following, right? This is another example, right? You could leverage that and you could share the promo on social media instead, and as opposed to having to worry about, um, you know, having a mailing list already. You can build that from scratch that way. I will say social media engagement on promos is usually much smaller than what you'll get from your mailing list, but it can be a substitute in some cases. Okay, so question here from Deborah. If I do an exclusive author swap, can I add group promos to my newsletter also, right? Or not? My newsletter should be only about the exclusive author swap, right? How does this work? So this is a good question. Um, there's a couple ways you can interpret this, and BookFunnel kind of leaves it up to you. For an exclusive, you can kind of set the terms. And so I would say that you would just want to communicate to the author what your expectations are. If you're going to do an exclusive swap, you might tell the author, there might be some of my own stuff that's also in that newsletter email, but your book is going to be front and center, right? I would say that an exclusive is kind of like, I'm not sharing any other swaps in that email, right? If you wanted to share some group promos, that would probably be fine, right? The idea is it just has to be worth it for the author you're swapping with. There's also kind of a dynamic that can happen too, where, so for example, if if one author has a very high click average and the other author has a low click average, right? So I might get an author 150 clicks from just sharing their book as a mention, right? I just mentioned if I have a huge list that's very engaged, and they might have a small list. So even if they share my book as an exclusive, it might only get 30 clicks, right? Now, I myself, I'd be perfectly happy doing a swap with an author in that case because I want to help other authors. And I was there once, so I totally get it. Not all authors will feel that way, though. And so you kind of just have to also look at that aspect of it. If you're offering an exclusive swap to the other author, are they doing the same for you? Do you guys have comparable click averages? Or does one of you generate typically more clicks than the other? How does that kind of play in there a little bit, right? Maybe if your click average is lower and you really want to swap with this author, be like, hey, I know my share average is a little bit lower. I want to share this book as an exclusive, and it's going to be the only thing that goes out. And maybe I'll share it a couple times throughout the month as well, so that it gets more eyeballs and I get more clicks for you. Because I really want to swap with you. You can add notes like that when you request a swap with an author. So it is kind of open to interpretation, Deborah. It's flexible, right? But I would say that generally speaking, the author is going to expect that that newsletter you send to your mailing list is just going to be about their book, to some extent. There might be some other stuff in there, but no other swaps, right? Maybe you have some of your other typical links and stuff like that at the bottom, maybe links to promos, right? But there's book should be front and center, no other swaps. And you may even want to do it where that's literally the only thing in the email too. You can do it, either way. You kind of set the terms. So, question here from Lucy. So I know this is basic. Lucy, don't worry. This is intended for basic questions. So this is perfect. But I didn't see it in the intro video. Can you go over download limits? I'm confused about one place in my account where it says 500 downloads and another where it says 10. Note, I am only using this for ARCs. Okay. I see. And I'm glad you added a little bit at the end because for ARCs, I know what you're talking about. So, on the home tab, if you're at BookFunnel, just on your dashboard.bookfunnel.com, this is where you will get to see some of your recent activity. This is a demo account, so it has no activity. So, unfortunately, I don't have much to show you here. But if you go to this page on your own dashboard and readers have been downloading your books, you will be able to see how many books have been downloaded this month and how that counts towards your overall download limit for your account. Right. And those download limits are based on your account type. I believe, I'm not going to pull it off the top of my head here. I'm gonna misspeak, right? But you'll want to look at your account here on your homepage to know what your download limit is, because it will vary from one plan to the other. However, you're talking about ARCs. And so what I believe, you didn't mention this feature, but I believe you're using certified mail. And certified mail is limited to 500 emails sent per month. So this is a separate limit. These 500 emails are sending ARCs to readers using BookFunnel's own domain. And so for that reason, we do not allow you to send unlimited emails from, help at bookfunnel.com, right? For security reasons, right? If we did, BookFunnel would cease to exist, because we wouldn't be able to deliver email to readers ever again, because bad actors would use the system to deliver spam and it would be a total mess. So we have to put limits on certified mail for that reason. And so for that reason, only 500 emails can be sent per calendar month. It does reset at the beginning of the month. So if you sent some ARCs through certified mail in March, now it's after the first of the month, you have 500 more emails you can send this month. Right. So if you have an ARC list that's bigger than 500, you can do it that way. We can also increase this limit. In some cases, if your account plan is in good order, and you're in good standing, we can increase this limit as well. So you can send more emails. So Mike asks, I was trying to link my book funnel to MailerLite, but I think it wasn't able to. Are you able to show me how this is integrated? So, a couple things, Mike. Without looking at your account, it's possible that you may not have direct integrations on your mailing list. Under settings, if you go to integrations, this is where you would come to set that up. However, if you show up on this page and it tells you that it's not available on your account plan, you need to go to your account settings and you need to upgrade or add on to an account plan that does allow it. So on our account plans, we have obviously these are our basic author plans. We have the first time author and the mid-list author plan. These two do not include direct integration. Direct integration here can be added on essentially for $50 a year or $5 a month to the mid-list author plan. And then, of course, the bestseller plan does include it. Also, here are the download limits that I was mentioning earlier. 500 for the first-time author per month and 5,000 for these two plans. Here, unlimited on bestseller. So if you want integrations, first, make sure that you have one of those two plans, and then you would just come to this tab on your dashboard, click the action button to add an integration, and then you would choose the platform. In this case, you're going to go with MailerLite, and then you would go through the setup process here, depending on whether you're using MailerLite Classic or the new version of MailerLite. Just click this link to get the API key and then paste it in here, and you should be good to go. So integrating with MailerLite is actually really easy. It's pretty straightforward. My guess is if you're not able to, it may be because of your account plan. So you'll want to check that. If you have questions, just reach out to BookFunnel support, help@bookfunnel.com, and we can help you out. So Chelsea asks, how often do you recommend that you send out newsletters to your readers? Is there a point where it is too much versus not enough? Yes. We talk about this we do have a webinar on this topic. Let's see here. Where is that one? I think it's kind of one of our older ones. We have a welcome sequence workshop. Oh boy, it's in here somewhere. Well, oh yeah, let's create a newsletter. This one I think is where we talk about that to some extent. Crafting an effective newsletter is also another one I would recommend. But to answer your question, right, I would say it depends on your audience, depends on their level of engagement. I would use the stats that your newsletter service gives you to kind of gauge this. Those stats aren't perfect, by the way. When you get opens and clicks and so forth, those numbers are an approximation, and especially in terms of opens. Right, so keep that in mind. But I recommend you stay in regular contact. The at least once a month. That's the minimum, I would say. And at most, depends on how engaged your readers are. At most, you could email them multiple times a week. But the question is, if you email them multiple times a week, do you have something to say? Something new to say every week that's going to make them want to open that email and engage with it and not unsubscribe? And then what engagement do you see? So if you email them weekly and you're losing subscribers, you need to evaluate what you're doing. There are mailing lists out there that email people multiple times a day. And I'm not just talking about authors, just mailing lists in general. And they oftentimes have a different strategy that they're going for, right? It just kind of depends, right? It's probably not what you want to do, honestly, right? That's too much, especially for an author, right? Once a week, probably okay. Once every other week, yeah. Once a month, it can work, especially if you're doing a good quality newsletter that you're putting some thought into, right? Something that they can look forward to. That can work as well. There's a trade-off though, right? For any one of those, you just kind of have to see, right? So I would say the minimum probably once a month. And then just like if you're increasing the frequency, again, just see how they're reacting to it. Are they engaging? Do you have something to say, or do you feel like you're just like sending them the same thing every time? And yeah, by the way, my books are here and stuff, right? Try to have something to say to them and to share with them that's new. Uh, and I'll also say, base it around what works for you. Right? That's probably the best advice is if you struggle to fit that into your workflow and sending a newsletter more than once a month is a challenge, just make a really quality newsletter once a month. Uh, if you can do it once a week, great. Right? Either way can work. So Let's see. Okay. Oh, I see. So Lucy did follow up here about the limit. So not using certified mail, you're on the basic plan. So the first time author plan. Let's go back to that here. So yes, that is the download limit for the first time author plan. That's 500 downloads per month is the limit on that account. What you might be seeing is a limit on a download page, perhaps. You can add limits to download pages that limits the number of times a reader can, or not, limits the number of readers that can download a book. I almost misspoke there, right? And so that's what you might be seeing there. But that's a limit set by you on a landing page. Lucy, if you have more questions about this, it might be better if I could see your dashboard. So send a request to help@bookfunnel.com. I'm not going to pull up your dashboard right here on Zoom in front of everybody. Carl then asks, oh, Carl, this is a compliment. Good meeting, very informative. I have to leave. Thanks, Carl, for joining us. Yes, Chelsea, thanks. Thank you. That was very helpful. Awesome. Glad I could help folks. And we do have a couple more minutes here. So I have some questions that were submitted in advance. I'm going to get to some of those now. And some of these may be from folks who are here as well, potentially. I don't know. The names look different. So let's dive in. So first question here, I believe this is from Maggie. I have a $20 membership to BookFunnel and don't use it because I have no idea how or where to start. Do you have training videos? I realize that I might need an upgrade membership, but how would I learn how to use the various features? So yes, I would recommend to go to the BookFunnel YouTube channel, start with our basic orientations, then go on to maybe some of the webinars on specific topics that you're interested in. You can also, if you're looking at some of these specific features in the feature spotlight, there's going to be more videos added to this feature spotlight playlist. Also, there's only a few videos here so far, so that will kind of expand over time. The idea is that if you just want like a short video that explains to you, right, how to make a universal book link, we've got one of those, or bulk delivery, that would be a good place to start. So another question here. I would like to sell my audiobook direct from my Squarespace website. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. BookFunnel does not integrate with Squarespace as a sales platform. So if we're here on the sales tab on your dashboard, you'll see we connect to Fourth Wall, Gumroad, Lemon Squeezy, PayHip, Shopify, Thrivecart, WooCommerce. Right? These are the platforms that we connect to, but we do not connect to Squarespace. However, one thing you could do is set up a Shopify store, and you can connect Shopify to Squarespace. And so people can go to your Squarespace website, stay on your website, purchase through your Shopify integration, and BookFunnel can still receive the webhook for that transaction and then deliver your audiobook that way. So it can be done. There's just like an extra step in that case. So let's see here. We got time for a few more questions. Actually, a couple here from the chat. So let's get to those. So Lenore asks, sadly, I arrived late. No worries, you're here. Where can I learn more about the benefits of joining group promos and how they work? Again, BookFunnel, YouTube here coming in clutch, the basics orientation on group promos. We also have some webinars on the topic of group promos. Some of them are on the topic of organizing them, which may not be of interest to you, but the group promos, the basics one, will show you how to join them, how to share them, and then you get also some of the benefits from there as well. Jay asks, I don't use MailerLite or MailChimp. I am using Entersoft, if I said that correctly. Can I still integrate it to BookFunnel? So we don't have an integration with that platform. We do add integrations regularly. So I'd recommend reaching out to support and requesting specifically like, hey, I'm using this platform. I'd love to integrate it with BookFunnel. Because when you send that request, we add those to a list, and then we use that list to determine what we should add next. However, you can still use BookFunnel with any mailing list service, even ones that don't integrate, because your landing pages that collect emails, if we go to our email sign-up pages, I have quite a few here. I think this might be a good example. This will store any readers in a CSV file. So you just have to manually export them and then add them to your mailing list. That's what you would have to do for a mailing list that you can't integrate with BookFunnel. Gerald has a question. Does the email integration work with ActiveCampaign for my newsletter? Yes, we actually do integrate with ActiveCampaign. Let me go to integrations here so I can show you here ActiveCampaign. And this would be the setup. You just need your ActiveCampaign URL and campaign key to get that set up there. Again, make sure that you have integrations on your account before you get to that stage. All right, one more question here, and then we're going to have to wrap things up for today. Let's see. Okay, here. So is it possible to change a landing page if the upload did not look the same as the book details? So I'm going to have to kind of guess on this one a little bit because the question is a little that maybe, well, there's maybe some extra details there that I could have, that would have helped me zero in on it. But from what I'm guessing, right, is it possible to change a landing page? Yes. So you can edit your landing pages, right? So I can come to any one of my landing pages. I can edit the appearance of the page by going to my landing page settings. So I can change all of this here. This will control the text that appears on the page largely, as well as the colors. I can do some changes with that as well. And then the thank you page, which is the page they get to after they've claimed the book. You can also edit that. And then otherwise, you have the opportunity to also edit your book details. So in some cases, it is your book details that will be showing up on your landing page. So things like, things like your description and tagline, obviously your book cover. All right. If you've uploaded your book's cover, this will show on your landing page. So you can sometimes edit those details through your book details. Right? Is what you'll have to do. All right, folks, we are going to wrap it up here for today. I want to thank you guys for joining me for this Q&A session. If you have any further questions, we are here to help. Again, just from your dashboard, click on help and you can contact us with any questions that you might have. We are here to help you out, so do not hesitate to reach out. Also, again, make sure you check out the BookFunnel YouTube channel. If you have not already, go there and subscribe. It is kind of my baby project here at BookFunnel, so I appreciate your support showing up there. Anything you can do to obviously watch videos that are going to be helpful to you. I'm not going to tell you to like just watch every video that we have, but if you engage with content there, it does help that content reach more readers, and we appreciate that. Again, the BookFunnel Authors Only Facebook group, I recommend if you want to join the conversation with other BookFunnel authors to get input and advice. Again, go check that out. That link is in the Zoom chat. Probably just have to scroll up to find it. And then we're going to be doing some webinars today in just a little bit here. In fact, in a few minutes, we're going to be diving into our next webinar topic. And then we have, of course, coming up in May, some additional topics for you guys. So I want to thank you all for joining me today for this session. We will see you all in the next one. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.